Junior High Retreat Recap. Hello and welcome to the Ignite Youth Podcast here at Wainfleet BIC Church, where we discuss life and retreats through the lens of our Anabaptist roots.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
My name is Julie Adams. This is our youth pastor, Pastor Wes Hillis.
Hi.
Welcome. We're glad to be together on the podcast today.
Yeah. Today we're talking about kind of like recap of the Junior High Retreat, which we just went on last weekend. And yeah, what a weekend it was. It was perfect weather for a retreat. Being up at Camp Kakwa, it's about, technically the drive is like 4 hours north.
Yeah.
And we do it in like 7 hours, which you may be wondering, why does that happen? And it's called Toronto traffic and on-roads.
Yeah, so you have to feed and water the kids.
You gotta feed and water the kids. Yep. Gotta get through Toronto traffic, which is just always a mess. And Barry's also always got traffic, but yeah.
Construction.
Yeah. But yeah, we got up to camp. So we left at 1:30, got up there around 7:30. So exactly like 7 hours, 6 hours. I don't do math. I'm a youth pastor. But
as long as you can count the number of kids and take the same number back.
That's all I need to do. We did not lose a kid. So we achieved this weekend. It's a bare minimum.
Wow.
But yeah, we had a really great time. It was the first time that Wainfleet actually was all together on one team for a retreat.
Nice. How many kids did you bring?
We had 27 kids. 26, 27. If it was on the weekend, I'd be able to tell you exactly in the number ratio between girls and girls.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think 26 to 27. And yeah, we had about 6 leaders, including myself, go. The girls stayed in a retreat cabin, which is like the oldest cabin at camp, and it was a bit cold in the evening. So some of the people were like, "Why do the girls have to get it? Why can't you give the guys the cold cabin?" I said, "Well, there's more of you. You'll be fine." Yeah.
Well, you don't really get a say, right? Camp kind of assigns you. Yeah.
No, we don't really get a say.
Well, for whatever it's worth, I have a daughter that went, and she said she was too warm when she was sleeping.
It's just different people,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. But I love having the retreat cabin for at least one of our Wainfleet groups because the porch on it, it's probably the best porch at camp.
Yes. It's almost like a wraparound porch.
It's almost like a wraparound. It looks over the lake. Like it's a really great spot. And I love being able to have it just for moments at night or early in the morning sunrises or things like that. And so, yeah. But like I said, we were all on one team. And so having that for the first time, it was great because it wasn't like, oh, these kids are going to be sassy to these kids because they're on opposite teams and some conflicts kind of start then. But rather it was everyone was together. Everyone was on the same page.
Some camaraderie.
Really nice. It was camaraderie. It was great. And like usual, Wainfleet crushed the volleyball tournament. We have, like, for some reason, volleyball kids just coming through. And
volleyball superstars, yeah.
But yeah, it was.
Who knew?
I didn't before. I was like, how's this going to go? And we crushed it. And so it was a lot of fun. But there was a time when we're getting ready to do all the activity hubs and the Camp Wet game and things like that. And all of us on one porch, and it wasn't even a retreat porch. The guys were staying in Beechwood, which is a chalet, all on one porch together, all painting and getting each other ready and prepped for the games. So we were the color green. And so you need to be as green as possible. And some of the boys took that to an extreme by painting practically all of themselves green, any visible self of them green. And it was quite funny just to see like everyone just kind of get involved, everyone get a part of it, and just have a real blast of a time together. And yeah, I don't want it to sound like this, but it just felt like some of the other people would walk past our group doing this, be like, oh, I wish we could go and do that. And so that it was one of those nice moments, being like, hey, yeah, we're doing something that's really cool and really special. And the sessions were, sorry, I'm still recovering, obviously. But the sessions were fantastic. We talked about doubts. So
who was the speaker?
Her name is Julia. She, I believe, is from North Toronto, part of the BIC Church Collective, former meeting house. And so she was a speaker, spoke about doubts, kind of fears, anxiety, worries, like those kind of things. And yeah, I thought it laid a really great foundation throughout the whole weekend. And we wanted to build off that a little bit when it went into small groups. And having the smaller group that we did, I think it made it a more intimate time to be together. Still 26, 27 kids, but there was a way for us to actually really come together as a group.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for the guys, like our small group time it wasn't this sense of like, oh, silly, one kid's bouncing off the walls and doing this and the others doing this, but it was rather all sitting together, really coming together and having a really great small group time. And yeah, from hearing from the girls, they also had good small group. And yeah, we kind of led into our Saturday session, which is kind of like the main Saturday evenings. Like it's your hitter, it's your closer, it's your one that's big. And I think the speaker probably spoke for like 10, 15 minutes max, way shorter than how the other speakers have spoken. A lot of the time we just sat and worship, and it was really great. And I remember talking with one of our guys, and they said, like junior high boys, like when you think junior high boys, you're not thinking emotional. You're thinking they're going to be bouncing off the walls. They're high energy. They're just crazy in general. But this group of boys was not that. They can be. I know they can be, but they were not that. And from one of them coming over to me afterwards and being like, I was worshiping God and we were singing and I looked up at the stars and I saw how many there were, and like it just got overwhelming just seeing how much God has made and how awesome it is. And seeing like a student get emotional for that, it was really cool a moment of that, of just being overwhelmed by the presence of God. And yeah, our students have really connected through worship, and it was really beautiful to see. And so after the session, which talked about a lot of doubts and fears, anxiety, and giving that over to God, we broke off into our small groups. And the guys, we talked about being able to give things over to God, whether it's fear or it's pain or it's anger, anxiety, being able to give that over to God, because we all have stuff in our own lives that we need to be able to give to God. And so, yeah, we chatted for a while and be able to talk about that. And there was nothing really the students like shared, but you could tell they were intently listening and being a part of that conversation. And we finished small group, and I said to the guys, all right, we're going to go over to the girls' cabin now. And they looked at me and they went, why are we doing this? What's happening? And I was like, we're just going to go over there. We have something special planned. And they were all right. And Josh Visser, he's one of our leaders, brought his guitar for the weekend, which I was so happy that he did. We didn't plan for him to bring his guitar. He just did. And I was like, perfect. This is going to work out great. So I told him the songs that we're going to play. He had his iPad. He had stuff ready to go.
Nice.
And yeah, we got over to the girls' cabin. The girls were kind of like, why are you here too? And what is going to happen? Because they were a bit emotional from, being able to share with each other and things. And I said, I had papers and pens that Camp had given me. And so I said, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. And I kind of set the tone a little bit about, this isn't like a silly time. This is actually a time to really come together. And look, whatever happens tomorrow, with the competition between the teams and everything, that doesn't really matter. But what matters right now is what we do in this next hour. I think this is the main part of the retreat. This is the big thing. And so some of the students, I think, were cluing in like, oh, this is actually a really big moment. And what we did was, I wanted them to be able to write down on the piece of paper doubt or fear or anxiety, whatever is holding them back in kind of the relationship with God. And it could be pain, it could be anger, it could be you're frustrated with God, but to be able to give that over to him. And when you're with kids, like there's an awkward silence or everyone's doing something, like there's always that one kid that's going to like burp or do something or something just to break the tension. We didn't have that. They just felt like everyone kind of sat in and went, okay, let's do this. Like let's do it. And from our grade 6 boys to our grade 8 boys to some of our grade 6 girls to our grade 8 girls, you could see that everyone was coming together. And there was definitely emotion being shared of people processing through writing down these hard things. And you think junior high is like, oh, they're junior highs, they're middle school, they don't got a lot. But they got so much built up inside of them. And it's really important to be able to share and to give. And so one of the students said, as I'm talking, like, what are we meant to really write? And so I shared with the group, like, I fear and doubt that I have. Like, I shared, like, I fear and doubt that I'm not a good dad. And I shared that with the group. And some of them were like, and I'm saying it now composed, but when I'm at the retreat, I'm standing on that porch with the kids, not at all. Like, I could see, like, 2 of my other kids, like, just, like, getting emotional from me saying that. And so I'm getting emotional, and I could barely get the words out of saying that. And it set the tone, like, okay, this is really serious. Let's do this. And it felt like everyone jumped in for that moment, and it was really beautiful. And Josh, as I'm saying these things and people are starting to write things down, he's starting to play, like just strumming the guitar and playing the song, and you're getting the feeling like, oh, this is really great. And he played the song Gratitude by Brandon Lake, and the students were just like, whoa, like you just felt it. And I want to make sure this sounds right, because I thought about this afterwards. I'm like, we talked about it as leaders afterwards, like, we're not trying to set up spots where, you know, it's an emotional trap and you get kids. Like, and I've been a part of those before where that happens, and it's just like, this isn't right. And it wasn't that. And what we're trying to do is just be able to provide space for the kids. Just provide them space to be open and to be honest, to share what's on their hearts. And sometimes emotion comes out. Yeah. And sometimes you see your friend sharing something emotional and you're like, darn it, and you're going to get emotional too. And we had that. And a beautiful moment, I think, is when people were giving their doubts and things, and then coming together as a group in a circle and worshiping God even more. Yeah. Through the tears and through the crying and through the emotions that they're feeling happening, to be able to share that with each other was just a really beautiful moment. And I remember we finished up, we did a few more songs. We finished up and we did a prayer, and we couldn't stop laughing during the prayer. Because, so here's the thing, we couldn't stop laughing. It's because there was so much sniffling. Oh, there's so much sniffling. The youth are like they're crying,
and like crying, and laughing, and it's a little bit cold, and
laughing at the same time. And so like we finally got through the prayer, and it was really awesome. And we sent the guys off, and the girls, you know, went into their cabin. And as I'm leaving, one of the leaders actually kind of said, you know, some of the youth want to chat, and so I chatted with some of the girls, and you know, we give each other hugs and like, hey, you're good. Like, I'm really happy for you. You know, like we had students who like have no church background, no relationship with God, inviting Jesus into their lives for the first time, and now entering into a relationship. And so it was a huge emotional outpour and a huge emotional like moment of doing this together. And it was really awesome. And I remember one of the girls came up to me, and this girl's always been a sass to me. Like always sassing, and that's the kind of relationship we have. Like we go back and forth. But she was emotional because her friend's accepting Jesus for the first time, and she kind of came up to me and just gave me a hug. I wasn't expecting it. Just gave me a hug and said, "You'll never be a bad dad." And I was like, "Well, darn it, youth, I'm not gonna say the name, but darn it, it broke me even more, and to have that, and it was just a real great sense of community. And yeah, so we, and I knew the girls were going through stuff, and I looked at Ashley, because it was her first time at a retreat, and I said, best of luck, getting sleep tonight. And I went back to the guys, and we went up. And so Beechwood, how the cabin's kind of set up, is the upstairs where the kids sleep, downstairs where the leaders sleep. And so I got up there, we went upstairs and checking with the guys. We were all just hanging out up there. And one of our guys, like, you could still see was wrestling or fighting with something, and I remember just giving him a hug and being like, hey man, like, you all right? Like, is everything okay? And he went, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's fine. And then like a minute later just came like, and gave a hug, and I could feel the weight of what he was carrying, something really deep, and he didn't have to say it. And that's really a beautiful thing, is when you don't have to say it, you can just be with each other in it. And yeah, it just felt like as a group of guys and as a whole group together, so we were really bonded in this moment. And it feels like one of those things, like, they'll be in grade like 11 and 12, and they'll be like, remember that junior high retreat where it was just like, where we had that special moment? And yeah, I was talking with one of the kids afterwards, and he said, he was going to bed, and he's like, I think when I think about this night for probably a while, I'm going to get emotional thinking about how amazing it was. And I was like, that's really awesome. That's really cool. And yeah, it was a great and wonderful time. Being able to share things together, being able to walk through things together. And yeah, it's just not expected. Coming into the retreat, I was like, oh, you know, Waynefleet, we don't have our big numbers like we usually have. We don't have our 40 kids, which we usually bring. But it was okay. And God kind of answered that and went, don't worry, there's a reason it's going to be like this. And it was an amazing moment. It felt like, just the group was really bonded together that moment. I'm really excited for what this is going to bring for our junior high group, because we've never had a junior high retreat where this happens. Like, never had one where people sure, you have one or two kids who maybe like something happens and stirs in them, but this felt like it was like a majority of the group. And so I'm really excited to see what happens and what comes out of this. and they want to worship. They want to be a part of that. And that's really amazing to see for our junior highs, because last year we did a few worship things here and they were like, I don't get it. And now it's like the majority of them are like, okay, you know what? I get it. Let's do this. And there's an excitement, and I'm super excited to see where we go with this. And after coming home, like in my head, I'm just like, okay, if the junior high retreat was like this, what is the senior high retreat going to be like? And I'm just super pumped and excited. I told the youth this week, I'm like, look guys, the senior high retreat, it's only, a few months away, but like half a year away, guys. But we're counting down now, because I'm super excited to do this journey with you guys again. And I'm so excited to see what this year brings. Like, we have such good groups in both our junior and senior high. And it just feels like a year of, like, people say, there's a book I read, and it was in your first 2 years of youth ministry, you will not see any growth or anything until after your first 2 years. And that wasn't true. Like, I didn't find that was the case here. We saw growth right away, and we saw, people diving in right away. And I thought, we're at a great level. And in the beginning of this year, after this retreat and the few things that have happened at senior high of sharing in small groups, I'm like, we're entering something even newer, something I didn't think we could. Well, because
this is 2 years.
This 2 years plus.
Just
now.
Plus for you. Yeah. It was 2 years in April, so this is the beginning of your
beginning of my third
season.
Yeah, and it just feels like, wow, there's something deeper that's going to happen here, and it's really amazing. It's beautiful to see, and it's going to be so much fun. So much fun. Probably going to be a lot of tears to the year, but it's going to be great at the same time. And the thing is, like, I was talking with another youth pastor, and it's like, aren't you tired after all that? And I went, no. Like, we got emotional, we cried together, and we shared things. I feel fully refreshed from the Lord. Like, I feel like I'm just ready to go. Like,
good, because other years you've come back and been a bit tired.
Yeah, but it just feels like I don't want to stop. I want to keep going. Let's keep going deeper, and it just feels so great, and so excited for what this year's going to bring.
Yeah, ride the momentum.
We're going to ride it all the way out.
Nice.
But
how can we pray for the youth? As whoever's listening, I'm sure we'd love to pray for you.
For our junior high group, we only had really half our group come on the retreat, and so prayer for next year that more of them would be able to come and experience this, but also just that there's not a rift, but rather that we all can come back together and all can be connected, because I know there's sometimes a bit of awkwardness for those who don't come on the retreat to those who do come on the retreat, and so I just hope it can work really well together. And for our senior highs, we're going through a series and a time right now where we're asking deep questions, and we're talking about our faith and sin in our lives and things like that. And so just prayer that as a group we feel comfortable with each other to share, to really enter in and not let things hold us back. That would be a wonderful, wonderful thing. And just prayer, just that we can keep this momentum going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pastor Wes.
Yeah.
If you'd like to get in touch with Wes, if you have any youth questions or want to offer him a word of encouragement or support, you can reach him at wes@waynefleetbic.com. If you're sort of newish to youth, we do have a youth page on our website where you can see the schedule and just a couple other details. So waynefleetbic.info to check that out. My email address is julie@waynefleetbic.com. And I think that's about it.
My address is wes@waynefleetbic.com.
Did I not say that?
Reach out. No.
Wow. Sorry, I got enthusiastic and I got going.
It's all good.
Please do.
Yeah. And if you want to check out our Instagram too, we post a lot of stuff on there. If you want to see some highlights from the retreat, it's at igniteyouth_WBIC.
Got it.
If you do Ignite Youth, you'll probably find it. But
or send Wes an email and he'll.
Yeah, I'll be able to share as much as I can with you. But
Perfect.
Awesome.
See you next week.
See ya.